So this has been in the news a lot this week.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's needless drama, but I do think that this is indicative of an undercurrent that's important. Not only her, and we've had all these people on the show, so I want to try and be fair, but some conservatives tossed their lot in here. Tomi Lahren said that conservatives need to. She spoke in a very absolutist way about conservatives and how we need to deal with social issues. Here you go if you missed it.
Pressing for a Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe v. Wade would be a huge mistake. We lose when we start tampering with social issues.
Okay. And many, unsurprisingly, disagree.
But this is not any social issue when you're talking about abortion. When you're talking about abortion, you're talking about an issue of protecting human life.
And isn't it funny if you just look at like the pictures side by side? You're like, well, she's gonna
right.
take this one as a walk off, but you add sound, and you're like, ooh, that little Jew is bright.
I don't find myself agreeing with Tomi Lahren very often.
Yeah, I don't think.
No offense to her, I just don't.
But she's spunky. I think we actually have a collage there, Sven Computer, of other people who jumped in.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a lot.
Here's the thing too, and I think Gerald, you were talking about this, and Jared, feel free to disagree, or if you do agree, I understand the cons. Let me clarify here, because then it's going to sound like I'm going in really hard on Tomi, that I'm really upset. I'm not. I understand what she's saying. I understand the concept that as far as strategy, you want to focus on winning issues, and a big political priority needs to be filling up the court, Senate, the House. So rushing right now, or certainly discussion to overturning Roe v. Wade when there are other victories that are gimmies, certainly may not be the best tact. That would be a valid argument to make, but that's not what she was
I was about to say, that's not the argument that she made. She said it would be stupid, it would be wrong, and she also, I think, somewhere in the interview said it would be unconstitutional on Fox News. I'm like, wait, what?
No. That's the problem I have with it. People need to, I understand
She got out of her lane.
When they talk about conservatives, they're talking more specifically about religious morality, being involved in legislation, which I understand that you don't want to get people in there just legislating purely based off whatever their religion says they should. I wouldn't want it happening.
That's why I don't want Ben Shapiro to be a justice. I don't want to have to wear a funny hat.
Exactly. But we do have to be honest about the fact that the Constitution was based on a lot of Judeo-Christian principles, and that's where we get our Western civilization sense of morality. So, and I think the Constitution very much backs that up, and that is very consistent.
Well, I think that's important, but I also, and this is what I want to touch on. First off, it's not a Christian thing when we're talking about Roe v. Wade.
No.
And first, before that, let's address the point: is the pro-life message actually a losing issue in 2018? I want to hear what you think about it. Here's something that I find indicative of the left. They are screeching about Roe v. Wade for two reasons. Let me explain this. Number one, there are more self-identified pro-life people now than in a very, very long time.
Thank God.
In the past, this is from Gallup, not exactly a bastion of fake news conservatism. Past decade, we've gone from a 49% pro-choice to 45% pro-life to an even 48-48 split.
Yeah.
Okay? In particular, more young people support abortions being not restricted and regulated than they currently are, like supporting 20-week bans. Okay,
it's because they're more informed on some of these issues. They actually pay attention and read up on it.
That's one of the reasons. I think the main reason is it's for two main reasons. Science progresses. The more we know about human development, the more undeniable it's become that you're ending a human life.
Right.
Yep.
This is one thing when they always say, well, it's about, they used to argue viability. And that has been scaled back. When you pick an argument where just like the global warming arguments, where I was talking with somebody, we were talking like, Lake Michigan right now, I think is a 20-something year high. Like, well, it's not an all-time high. Can you give us the 20-year high?
What's it take? What's it really
You said there would be nothing.
You get nothing.
There's more than nothing. Can we at least say that?
Well, I don't believe. You said shoo-in. So, a good example of viable, in 1960, the survival rate for a 3.3-pound baby, okay, the preemie was 28%. By 2010, it was 78%.
Wow.
That's statistically significant.
And there was we were talking about the 20-week issue, and they're like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. And then we're like, yep, here's a news article just happened the other day. 20 weeks survives outside the mother's room. It's like, come on, guys, it can really happen.
Well, that's the question.
Science is either science or it's not.
This question I always bring it back to people. What is the difference between a 20-week and a 21-week?
Yeah.
What's the difference between a 12-week and a 13-week? What is really the difference between the 5 and a 6-week? I mean, there are developmental differences, but nothing that I think constitutes a difference in personhood.
No, I think it's and I've never had anyone answer it. And it's not like we just pick.
Never will.
We don't just use trauma. We don't just pick people who can't. We picked Naomi Wolf, who I had to read in college, right? We had Lacey Green. We've had
Blame Canada.
Anyone who's willing to come on the program. You're more than welcome. Now every person with a Twitter egg, you know what I'm talking about. Reason number two: the more we learn. Well, no, okay, listen, the more we learn about prenatal development, we know this. It's really just hard for the left to say it's an extension of the woman's body. When we're talking about 24 weeks, 26, 20 weeks, period. We know that. Science has said it's not the woman's body at that point. That's undeniable. The second reason is that the left has strayed so far. The second reason to go back to it's a winning issue from this. It used to be safe, legal, and rare. That was the quote.
Not safe for the baby, by the way.
Their mainstream position now on abortion is actually radical. They've created hashtags like shout your abortion. It went from safe, legal, and rare to abortion on demand, taxpayer funded, period.
I regret not having an abortion.
I regret not having an abortion. Lena Dunham. What was there something recently? I don't know. It's hard. I don't have enough I only have so much space, and now I have to learn video gaming because of Noggly.
You think of Michelle Wolf, the melting candle.
Yes. Stop it. There are plenty of reasons to attack Michelle Wolf. Her face looking strikingly like a melting candle is not amongst them. Yes.
Well, look, what I would really like for us to do is, I get the point, like you said at the top, I get the point. What I'd like us to do is kind of get out of the way, not put this out in the media, and let the justices take care of this. Because if we start fighting this in the media and create a firestorm over it, I think we could have some problems with it. Even though we're at a 50-50 split now, I still think it causes some problems.
I understand, and this is... Were you about to say something, Gerald?
No.
Jared? I disagree.
You disagree? Okay.
Yeah, I disagree. And that's what I'm saying, because they're so far left. They are so radical. Let me explain to you why.
Yeah.
So in Colorado, they've actively campaigned and have succeeded in legalizing abortions up to 26 weeks.
Wow.
Okay? There have been 33-week abortions in Colorado, but 26, that's 6.5 months. That's way beyond the point of, oh my, you have a glow. I noticed you didn't order your usual yellowfin. Is that, are you expecting? There's a lack of balance. You're talking about sleepless nights, stretch marks, because you're carrying a 6-month-old child in your womb that could live outside of your womb, and it's legal. And in Colorado, you can kill it. And if the DNC had their way, you could do this across the country. And this is why I disagree with Gerald on this. Respectfully, they have gone so far left. I think that if we argued it in the media with a political voice of opposition who are saying safe, legal, and rare abort, but the fact is we're saying, hey, how about not abortions at 6.5 months? And they're saying, shout your abortion at 32 weeks. I think we win.
Here's a fun fact, I think, is that medically, a baby who dies before the 20-week mark is considered it's considered a miscarriage.
Yeah.
After 20 week, medically considered a stillbirth. I don't know a lot of people stillbirthing a clump of cells.
Yeah.
Birthing a clump of cells it's not a thing.
Yeah, I know. Not to mention the psychological ramifications.
Yeah.
Any mother who's had either of those will tell you.
And I appreciate what you said, and I would agree with you on some of that stuff. I guess my point is I feel like the ball is already heading that direction. I feel like the justices are going to overturn this, and we don't have to do a whole lot in the public. I don't
think they will.
I think there are people right now planning for when he gets into the Supreme Court, ready to bring a case.
I think they're gonna constrain certain elements of it. I don't think they're gonna overturn it, and that's why I think they need public pressure.
Yeah, let me change my mind. Yeah, maybe not completely overturn it, but at least put some constraints or push it back down to the states even.
Well, okay, so this brings us to the next reason that the left is screeching about Roe v. Wade. It's bad law. This is something they aren't screaming about Obergefell Hodges, right, versus Hodges that's supporting the gay marriage, or Gruder versus Bollinger that's upholding affirmative action, right? They're not screeching about that to the same degree. They're screaming about Roe v. Wade because it is based on for those who don't understand, most people think Roe v. Wade means that abortion, okay, this is exactly what it means, the interpretation. It's this flimsy idea that the right to privacy is under the due process clause, and that includes the right to an abortion, and it's enforceable on a federal level. Yeah. This is why I think that it's a winning issue. I don't think it's the first issue we go to, but why do I think long-term it's a winning issue? The left has become the religious zealots. They've become the doomsday theorists. They've become the snake handlers. They're going, the world will end on April 26, 2009. Well, where'd you get that? It says in Revelation somewhere in the back, if you look at these numbers and you cross-reference them and you carry the one. But hold on a second. What about don't steal? What about be good to your wife? What about, no, I really want to focus on the April 26. I think this is a good direction to go. That's like the left with the Constitution. Hold on a second. Under the right to private, under the due process clause, that includes abortion. Well, hold on. What about the freedom of speech? And you can't yell fire in a crowded theater, but the abortion. But hold on a second. What about the Second Amendment and the right to? You can't. I'm pretty sure it's about abortion with privacy laws. They are the far left version of the religious snake handler, and I just want to point them out for it.
Yep.
So right away, if we can scientifically prove and or agree, for people out there, if you're not, I know we have a lot of libertarians who aren't pro-life. I don't expect you to be.
Yeah.
But if we can agree that a 6.5-month-old baby, or even a 5-month or a 4-month-old, is not your body, but another human, the law holds no water because killing it isn't within your right to privacy. And here's another example with the left. The walls of science are closing in.
Yep.
They're finding themselves in the bog of eternal stench. It is, finally, too, even if you got Roe v. Wade, this is, if you got it completely overturned.
If you completely overturn it, yeah.
Which I don't think is going to happen.
Right, I agree.
Very unlikely. Like I said, I think it's more likely they constrain some things. You know what happens? Do you know what happens? Anyone?
To go back to the states?
It goes back to the states.
God, there we go.
The states that want taxpayer-funded murder clinics, they'll still be able to do so. They already have laws in California, Connecticut,
all those places that love
Hawaii,
children, yeah.
Maine. Where else? Maryland.
Maybe Maryland.
I would assume Delaware. I don't have it in front of me, but I know for sure California, Connecticut, Hawaii, Maine. They already have laws on their books to maintain abortions if it's overturned because those states have priorities. Hey, California, you have the worst economy, and as long as the abortion thing is taken care of, we're going to be aces. So when the left is saying that women will lose all their rights, it's going to be like a Handmaid's Tale season 2. What they're really saying is that, okay, you have a right to tax subsidize abortion from the federal government, and if we go to merely having to live in a state where you can legally pay for your own abortion, or in the case of places like California, the state still can, as opposed to the federal government, as opposed to the federal taxpayer from 5 states over, that you are clearly forfeiting your rights as a card-carrying vagina screamer. So you tell me if the anti-Roe versus Wade argument is really such a losing one, and why is the left screaming about it from the hilltops? You don't scream about something that you're winning.